Hi, I'm Chris Gumas. Welcome back to Ruland's Collar and Coupling Corner, the only weekly show that answers your shaft collar and coupling questions. This week's question comes to us from a user in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They ask, do you have a 22 by 14 millimeter one-piece rigid coupling available? If not, what cheap flexible coupling do you have as an alternative? This user has a rigid coupling in an existing system and wants to build an analogous one. They're having trouble sourcing the 22 by 14 millimeter one-piece rigid and just wanting to see if a flexible may be an option. Rigid couplings will always have fewer bore combinations within a given OD than a flexible coupling. Flexible couplings generally share one common OD amongst many bore sizes. For instance, our largest jaw coupling has 23 different bore size options to choose from. Normally, a rigid is going to be limited to anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 or 4 bore sizes. For a manufacturer to be able to inventory the same bore range that you could do with something like a flexible coupling, you would need to have far too much excess inventory on hand that would be very slow moving. It's just not feasible for us manufacturers to do this and have standard options available as ready off-the-shelf components. We'll generally make them as non-standards on an as-needed basis. As for replacing a rigid with a flexible, normally that's challenging, especially in this particular application, which is a mixer, where you have a bearing-supported shaft on one side and an unsupported paddle on another side. This is just not a fit for a flexible coupling. Unfortunately, our guidance to the user was you're just going to kind of have to accept that the coupling is going to be expensive, or you're going to have to do a better job at using standardized components or standardized shaft sizes like 20 by 20 millimeter or 25 by 25 millimeter. That may involve significant redesigns, which the user is not willing to do. So they ended up sucking up and paying for the 22 by 14 millimeter as a non-standard. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.